So people think that 2 is company and 3 is a crowd. Yes, but I think that you should have different levels of friendships in your 30s. You'll find life very, very, I don't want to scare you, but tough. Because you'll be making decisions that you did not think you'll have to make. Nobody told us about it, because if some of us knew that this is what adulthood means, trust me, you'll want to remain a child forever. On my 30th birthday, I set certain goals which I believed were reasonable. My first 2 years, I achieved 2% of what these goals were. I needed to make drastic changes. And I'm in my last few months of being 30-something. I'll give you some vital tips in this series of leveling up in your 30s. So if you're in your early 30s, mid-30s or late 30s, sit down, have a drink, make yourself comfortable, and the series we'll talk about today from the thumbnail is friendships. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. How are you all doing? My name is Lua and Happy New Year. This is my first sit down video of the year 2023. It's the 4th of January today, actually the 5th. I don't know when you get this video, maybe the day after. But how's your new year gone so far? Mine has been without any big plans this year. I'm taking things easy because I really don't think that you have to wait for the new year to make plans. And it's just so stereotypical that whenever I have these plans, they hardly come into fruition. But if you have any new year goals, I pray that you stick to them. I hope that this year you level up and you achieve everything that you've secretly wished for and more. Drink a lot more water, get your steps in, and remember that your health is wealth. So if you're thinking about being wealthy, think about being healthy. For those of you who have been supporting my channel, actually, I've had more subscribers over the past 28 days, over 100 and something. And this is in line with my plans for 2023. I have 11 more months before I turn 40. And I have learned a lot, boy, oh boy. I've learned what friendships mean. I have lost friends. I have gained friends. I have ghosted people. I have been ghosted. I have learned as well the act of not giving an F. But most people who are younger probably don't know how to do that. That's why I'm starting my series of leveling up in your 30s with friendships, because in your 30s, you rely a lot on your friends and sisters. And it is important to learn to surround yourself with the right sort of friends and detect those who you don't need in your life early on. So have a seat, get a drink. I don't know if you want a tea, coffee, or something stronger, because I'm going to be talking about some points that will hit a few nerves. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about thinking about the bigger picture and relating this video into your daily life. We'll start with friendship today, and after this we'll discuss relationships, finance, careers, becoming a softer woman, becoming a woman of high value, becoming a woman from a girl in your 20s. Right, if this sounds like something that would interest you, keep watching and let's get straight into the video. I chose to talk about friendship first because at this age, when you're just getting into 30, there are a lot of things that you will do that will be very, very reliant on the people around you. Not only your family members, but friends. Most people are finding their feet when they turn 30. Statistics has actually proven that the median age that women get married in, say, 2022 was about 28, 29. So when you get into your early 30s, you're finding yourself. You probably have started having kids and you're thinking, how do I navigate around life? And the reason why friendship in your 30s is important, because you'll be dealing with very turbulent times. You'll be dealing with young kids. You'll be dealing with finding a career, juggling a career, a new husband perhaps, or you might have been married earlier, but this advice will definitely go a long way. And you will need people around you that you just cannot always ghost. You cannot always blank people. You cannot always cut people off, but you have to learn to live with people and friends when you're in your 30s, because you're no longer a girl, you're now a woman, and decisions that you make will affect not just you but your whole family. Let's talk about the first thing to consider. Please, it is important to have friends, but it's more important to have the right friends. And that's why my first thing I'll say with choosing friends or having friends around you is make sure you have friends that understand your position. I cannot stress how important it is to have a friend, not really a friend that loves you, but a friend that understands where you're coming from, what your priorities are. You might be in a place where you have more time on your hands. Perhaps you're just a newlywed, it's just you and your other half, and you're still going through that honeymoon phase, and you might have more time to maybe call your other friend who has 4 kids or 2 or has had the first child and is struggling with sleepless nights. You have friends that understand where you are and don't judge you. It will help you navigate through your 30s better. The worst thing to do is to feel like you have to always explain yourself to friends. And I don't really call them friends. I'll call anybody who does that an acquaintance. And it's okay to have acquaintances in your 30s. Your close circle of friends need to understand that if you don't call them for 3 weeks or 3 days, it might mean that you're going through a tough time. What do? They reach out to you and they don't ask you, why have you not replied my call? Why have you not called me back? That is the kind of friend you need. Those are the kind of friends you need. When you get older, when your kids have grown up, you would have all the time to be on the phone. If you're slightly younger, you don't have any commitments, you can be on the phone for 20 hours. But having the right set of people who understand your condition, your position, will go a long way to avoid all sorts of misunderstandings. And the worst thing, as I said before, explaining yourself. You shouldn't. If you call me a friend, you should not explain yourself. The next thing I'm going to chat about are friends that are yes people. We all want people who support us, who make our lives easier. Of course, I know that. But the friends that really tell you the way it is. When you leave from your innocent 20s, or your crazy 20s, I can call it, when you get into 30, there's certain massive changes that you realize with relationships, with friends, with family, with romantic relationships as well. You need people around who are not scared to tell you as it is. Have friends who can sit you down and say, Lua, what you've done is not right. Don't have people around who are yes army, because they'll lead you straight down the wrong hole. So consider people who will be ready to stick the neck out for the truth and for your well-being. Those are the people who I consider your true friends. Now, this point I want to make is common interest and common goals. This is across several things. For example, if you have a clique of friends, varying aspirations and in different places, it's so difficult because there'll be conflict of interest. Try to have at least 1 or 2 friends that are headed to the same direction, that you can support, you can lean on each other. Give an example. If you are early 30s thinking, I want to buy my first home, surround yourself with friends who have the same financial ambitions like yourself. Don't surround yourself with people who plan, for example, to travel the world, because there'll be a time where you need those friends who want to travel around the world and don't want to save. That might come later on. That might have come earlier on. But make sure that the people who you call your friends are in similar positions like you. Because what do? If somebody's falling, you drag them up. If you have a friend whose aim is to say shed some weight, you'll be able to call them, support them, what have you eaten today, and make sure that you are accountable to each other. If I had friends like this in my early 30s, where we had, say, the same financial goals, the same career aspirations, the same educational aspirations, maybe to retrain, the same aspirations, maybe to get married, maybe you'll kind of form the right attitude, the right steps, and you find yourself ticking your boxes quicker. So make sure that you hang around people with common goals and interests. What I'm going to talk about next might be a bit contradictory. I'm telling you guys this from what I've learned. People keep saying keep your friends very, very, very small. That is true. But I use the word friendship quite loosely in this conversation. You should not only have 5 friends, you should have friends for everything. You can have 4 or 5 very close friends who you kind of can be very intimate and honest with, and then have friends that are fun. You'll find life very, very, I don't want to scare you, but tough. because you'll be making decisions that you did not think you'll have to make. You'll have little people who depend on you to live, to breathe, to feed, to water. You'll have a man depending on you to do a lot of things and give you advice and be there emotionally. So you don't always want to be serious. You want to have friends that you can let your head down with. And I'll call them acquaintances. Every now and then, you guys can go out for a night out. On a personal note, I'm saying this from experience. And over the past 5 years, I have found myself. I have stopped living my life only as a mother and a wife. I have found my identity. And I live my life a lot more unapologetically, so that when I come home to my kids and my husband, I am the best version of myself. I don't miss a party, a time to hang out with friends. If you like to travel, if you like to go clubbing, if you like just to maybe just have a girly night in, you totally deserve it. So have those friends that are not just there for the times you need to cry or talk about money, talk about marriage. Have those friends that will make you laugh. Life is already, as a woman, as an adult, very stressful. Nobody told us about this adult thing, eh? Nobody told us about it, because if some of us knew that this is what adulthood means, trust me, you want to remain a child forever. I can tell you that. And I feel so sometimes, but I have friends that when I call them, we make it happen. Have them in your life. The next thing I want to talk about is something that most of you will agree, is not having friends that want to mimic everything you're doing. Competition at best is good, right? Competition has to be healthy in every aspect. In education, friends, family, everything, there needs to be modesty in everything that you're doing. If you have friends that find it hard for you to shine, if it's not about them, I'll stay clear of them. If you go to your friend today and you decide that you want to be a pilot, and they are actually a nurse or a doctor, and they say, that's my calling, please, can you tell me, where did you study, or where are you planning to go and do your pilot's education? And they say to you, oh, actually, how did you know? I thought about that. I want to be a pilot too. I'll be really, really careful, because that breeds competition, and that might breed jealousy, or it might mean that they're not happy to see anybody else do well. Have your own mind. Have friends who are assertive in what they want to do. But I think that friends that always want to do what you're doing, I'll really handle them with a long spoon. I'll be very cautious about that, because I have seen it happen. And when I sit down here and talk to you young people, maybe in your late 20s, in your early 30s, you might think, oh, that's true. And then you think about friends. Just watch the way they behave. So I don't believe that you should have friends that want to isolate you from everybody and have you to themselves. I find this kind of attitude very childish, but it's quite common, especially with ladies. I think friendship should be based on love, respect, and it's not a cult. You should not have friends who want to keep you all to themselves. I think that is borderline narcissistic attitude. I used to believe only about 3 years ago that you don't make any more friends. I think that has changed over time for me. In your 30s, you're still free to make friends. You might go to your kids' nursery, you meet a lady, you guys are in the same place in your lives, and you click for life. They might even evolve into sisters in the future. Feel free. Get people around you. You know where to draw the line. You know about boundaries. You know about what you keep private. You've learned about what deceit means. You've learned about what betrayal means. So you're going into this in a lot more informed manner. So people think that 2 is company and 3 is a crowd. Yes, but I think that you should have different levels of friendships in your 30s. Demarcate it. There is a thin line between cutting yourself from everybody because you want to have 1 or 2 friends, which is quite dangerous, because I think that if you put all your eggs in one basket of friendship, and if that fails you, you find yourself isolated. So be wary, be careful, friends that believe that the friendship only should be with them. I think that you should be left to explore the options. When you get older, you can start dropping people off, because you've learned and they've helped you navigate through life to find yourself, and then you might think, I need this long term because I'm more mature to sieve the good from the bad. So be careful with friends that only want you to themselves. That is borderline narcissistic behavior, in my opinion. And I find people like that slightly toxic. Now, the next thing that I'll be weary of are friends that find it hard to be happy for people's success. This sometimes is very telling, and they do it unconsciously. People like that tend to be quite negative. It's so easy to see them around you. You might come with fantastic news, you're buzzing, and then they look for a dampener. Everything is an issue. You say to them, I've got this brilliant business idea. Really? And then they'll unpick really quickly a negative thing. Yes, I don't like yes people, like I said before, but there is a thin line between a yes person and somebody who is constantly unhappy for your success. You say to them, I'm having a baby. Are you sure you're ready to have a baby? They look for something negative. Or you say, I've met this guy. Oh, that guy. Oh, God. What they're saying might be true, but people like that tend to have a streak. They tend to always be negative and find it hard to be happy for success. Be careful, people like that, because instead of you moving positively, you tend to constantly justify. Justification, for me, is close to one of my deal breakers. One thing I want to just throw in this point is we all have different times in our lives where success greets us. The times that we get ahead of our friends, ahead of our foes, and they catch up. It's never how quick, it's always how far. I have friends who started having kids much later and they've had 5. They're happily married and we have caught up. I might have started having kids much earlier and by say 35 I had 4 and by 30 they had all. So we have to learn that irrespective of where we are in our personal lives, if we have friends that we cannot be happy for our success because we are not going in tandem, you need to get rid of friends like that. The last thing I'll talk about today, which for me happens to be a deal breaker, is trust. Trusts in friendships are underrated. This is a topic that I'll talk about maybe on my next video before I come with my next episode of Leveling Up, which will be finances. But I think trust in friendship, I can see this everywhere I look around. In our community, we have people who we've trusted with our lives and they have turned tomorrow, the next day, and betrayed the trust. Trust needs to be a little bit more ring-fenced and defined, and you must leave a certain aspect of yourself to yourself, because there's nobody you can intrinsically or you can totally trust. And in your 30s, there are a lot of things that you'll do that you look in 5 years, in even 3 years when you get slightly older like myself, and you think, why did I do that? And then imagine if you shared that with somebody. That for me is one of my deal breakers, and something that I hope if you're watching this video and you have that one friend who you can share your life with, thank God. If you don't feel bad and don't insist to look for that person, because not everybody has one, and it's fine. It's fine to keep some things to yourself. Once you share anything with anybody, family, friends, or enemies, you have exposed yourself. It's no longer a secret. And this leads to a lot of things in the community like blackmail. And we know about how people record others, play them. These are things that I have learned. I did not know they existed. But I think over the past 3 years, I have learned that having somebody you can trust is such a bonus in friendship. And it's sad that you will live life scared to share with people you call dearest. Because as I said, in your 30s, you'll have a lot of dirty secrets that you've come either from the past, or while you're navigating around life's troubles, holes, you will tell somebody. Just talking about trust, especially with the recent Shankila Robinson incident, I have not spoken about that on this channel, but I believe that it's time for me to say something, what my opinion is, and advise to young ladies, young men who are big on traveling, either solo or in groups, more importantly, the latter, in groups, on the things you could do to stay safe and steps that you'll take to avoid these things from happening. I hope that you found this video helpful. I'm sure that there are a lot of other things in friendships that we should look out for in our 30s. But never mind, this is an ongoing series, and I'll be talking about things like finances in your 30s, careers, becoming a woman of higher value a high achieving woman, and many other things like romantic relationships, money, and everything in between. If you found this helpful, please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and let's interact in the comment section. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Bye.